have goals, and it's time you reached them faster. You have dreams, and it's time you make them a reality. Massive life transformation starts now. It's Tampa Bay's performance power couple, certified coach and performance specialist Dana Medlin and certified coach and behavior analyst Michael Medlin. Get ready to transform your actions. It's time for the Action Hour.
Welcome to the Action Hour. I'm your host, Dana Medlin, and I'm joined by my handsome husband, Mr. Michael Medlin. How you doing over there?
I'm doing great, baby. How are you?
If I'm going to be honest, I'm a little nervous about today's show.
Why would that be?
Well, when we were preparing to have this discussion on forgiveness and the power and how to do it, it brought back a lot of memories and some old wounds. You know, I had to stop and consider if I was actually ready and willing to share some of my painful past.
That's, not exactly the easiest thing to do when you have, potentially a couple million people listening.
It's a little daunting. But during that process, I remembered that this really isn't about me and it's not about you or us, but it's about the benefit of the people that we serve. And it's by sharing our experiences that we discover just how similar we are. And that connection is powerful.
It truly is powerful because we really draw upon that power to give us the strength to heal.
Absolutely. So if you are tuning into today's show, please know that it's not by accident. We invite you to open your heart and find at least one message or one tool that you can use to heal, to grow, and to just allow yourself to be the very best version of yourself. So here we go. All right. Forgiveness, this is not an easy topic, and if we're going to be honest with ourselves, it's not easy to move beyond a place of hurt and pain. It's not. And so, as I'm about to share this story, I can feel the tears welling up. All right. When I was 8, my biological father, he walked out on us, leaving my mom to raise 4 children by herself. Now, we are very lucky in that we had a large extended family that we gained support from. We had grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody. So as children, we were definitely surrounded by love. But it was hard, watching my mom struggle financially, emotionally, and having to take the brunt of that pain being the eldest and knowing that he was the cause of it. And he didn't even care, that we were suffering. It brewed such anger and resentment and ultimately hatred in my heart. Now, I am fortunate that I have an amazing stepfather.
He really, really is.
I really do. He's just an amazing man, and he has loved me and supported me, and he's been there for me and my siblings since I was a teenager. But unfortunately, the damage was already done. And ironically, I was the only one that didn't know it, What made it worse is that I hadn't even been willing to examine the effects that his abandonment had on me, how it had governed some of my early decisions, like in relationships. Michael, you know the saying, looking for love in all the wrong places?
I have heard it quite often. Yes,
yep.
Absolutely.
I was the epitome of a girl with daddy issues. I mean, even in work, I was always searching for that approval. And if I was told I wasn't good enough for whatever reason, I accepted that as a limiting belief. So it came down to, do I continue to repeat the same mistakes over and over again, continuing that same pattern of destructive behavior? Or do I face the pain demon, recognize it for what it was, what it had done to me, the damage that it had caused? Yeah, that seemed like a better choice. And then I made the choice to begin on the road to healing. But I had to learn to forgive my biological father. And believe me, when I tell you, it was a slow process. It took years, but I did. I forgave him because I realized I was drinking the poison, expecting it to kill him. You know, I was holding on to anger, pain, and hostility, hoping that it was going to have a negative impact on him.
And it never does.
It never does, and it didn't. You know, I was literally drinking the poison true to form. It was only killing me. So I chose to forgive him. And in so doing, it allowed me to heal. It allowed me to gain strength and power. And then I was able to forgive myself.
And honestly, that's where the growth is. I mean, forgiveness is that two-way street. When you learn to, forgive others, but then also when you learn to forgive yourself.
And I know that that's where the growth is, because it's that growth that put me in a position to have and deserve the type of healthy marriage that I have now. Like, yeah. It brings me to tears because I know the journey that I went through. And I know that at the end of it, here you are as my prize. And darn it, I earned it.
You did.
I did. So, all right. What does the road to healing look like? You know, how do we get to a point of forgiveness? That's really what we're talking about here today. How do we do it?
Okay. So to give you a little bit of a break, I'll jump in here and I'll do the whole definition portion of this.
Oh, Mr. Clinical.
Yes, Mr. Clinical. Yeah, I can't get away from it. I mean, come on. I spent too many years in college. Forgiveness, as they define it, it's a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance toward a person or a group has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserve your forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Now, what I love about the entire journey of forgiveness is you start to teach people how to do forgiveness, and they become the disciple of it, and they feel it, and they decide, I'm going to get closure. I'm going to hunt down the person that harmed me, and I'm going to forgive them. And they get right up in their face, and I am forgiving you. Well, that's not how it works. I mean, here's the thing: they never asked to be forgiven. Mm. And so what's your real motivation in forgiving them? You can't forgive with the intent to call them out or to hurt them or to teach them a lesson. That's just not how forgiveness actually works.
No, it's not. But you said something interesting. You said that the person that's being forgiven, you said they didn't ask for it. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think anyone, I mean, people ask for forgiveness, but I don't think that is a qualifying factor as to whether or not you should forgive. Like, my biological father never asked to be forgiven. You know, I forgave him, but that doesn't mean that I have forgotten what he's done. It doesn't mean that I condone it or I, excuse what he did. He's not a part of my life, and that is by choice, right? And it has nothing to do with whether or not I forgive him. It's, I have a son, and I need to make sure that the male influences in his life are of the character that I want him to emulate, And so I forgave my bio dad because I accepted that that's who he is and he is who he is, but I'm not obligated to reconcile with him.
No, absolutely not. I mean, when you forgive for yourself with absolutely no agenda, then that is when it will feel right within you, and that is when the growth actually does happen.
Absolutely. So why is forgiveness important? This is something that we're going to dive really deep into, why it's important, and then we're going to talk about how to, because I think that's just as important.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good to talk about the concept. It's another to help people actually get there.
Absolutely. So we got to have an action plan. Research has shown over the last couple decades that actually holding on to anger and resentment and hostility, these are things that are linked now to poorer physical and mental health. So it's actually having a physical, manifestation in people's bodies. Mm-hmm. That it's, when I call it poison, there's a reason. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, again, we'll dive deep into the healing process. And then we're going to be talking with our guest, best-selling author, Lisa Boucher. Her book last week hit #1 on Amazon for the second time.
That is impressive.
It is. So we're really excited to talk to her. And then later this hour, we've got a brand new BehaviorSelf where we give listeners the opportunity to message us through their questions. And we do some live coaching right here, right now. So we're going to be diving deep today, folks. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Turn heads this summer with the help of Medi Weight Loss. Lose up to 20 pounds the first month with a medically supervised weight loss program that's tailored to meet your specific needs. Their team of trained medical professionals will guide you, ensuring that you lose the weight and keep it off. Get started today. Call 877-MED-LOSS and book your free assessment. That's 877-MED-LOSS. Locations Tampa, Brandon, and Lutz. On average, patients on individualized restricted calorie program lose 6.4 pounds the first week and 14 pounds the first month. Medical supervision required.
Welcome back to the Action Hour. We are talking about the power of forgiveness. And before we left for the break, I shared some very personal, deep scars.
And you held it together.
Yeah, I did. I'm very proud of myself. But even more so, I want to dive deep into why forgiveness is important, from just even more so than just emotionally, but from a physiological standpoint, why forgiveness is important.
And as a behavior analyst, I've always been stuck in a clinical setting, and it's always taught to us that, we have to talk about things that only we can see. Behavior analysts are a little bit different than psychologists. So when we talk about things like, stress or forgiveness and things like that, what I end up asking people is not necessarily what is it that you are feeling, but what is it that you do when you feel a certain way.
Right.
And a lot of times it's very difficult to quantify, a feeling. And so I love that science is starting to show us that forgiveness does indeed make a measurable physical change.
Absolutely. Because just as present as the damage of holding on to negativity is, just as present as that is, so are the benefits of forgiveness, right? So studies have shown, we've seen it in our practice even, the results of holding on to negativity. But again, we've also seen a lot of these positives. But you start with things like having healthier relationships. Yeah. When you're not always coming from a negative, angry, bitter place, you are then able to focus your energy on fostering healthy relationships. And that's not just, romantic relationships. That is parent-child. Parents, you become a better parent to your child by letting go of hostility.
Absolutely.
Work relationships, relationships with your coworkers, with your boss, with your employees, things of that nature. And what that's really stemming from is you feel better about yourself. You have an improved self-esteem.
And you don't go into conversations with someone with, preconceived notions, preconceived anger. Letting all of that go allows every day to remain new and fresh.
Absolutely. You're able to then live in the present. Now, that again falls right into having an improved mental state, right? An improved mental state means that you're not feeling as anxious. You don't have the stress and hostility. You have fewer symptoms of depression.
Which all leads to, we talked last week about, the hormone cortisol and how it actually affects, weight. It's a poison within your body, essentially. And by reducing stress, you reduce these.
Absolutely.
hormones.
Things like lowering your blood pressure. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but high blood pressure is linked to things like strokes and heart attacks, and all of that could be stemming from just harboring resentment towards someone or a situation where you feel wronged.
Coincidentally, I was on blood pressure meds when? At the end of my, relationship before I came to you. So it was very much a physical manifestation.
Absolutely. So how do we release ourselves from this physical pain of emotional hurt so that we can reach forgiveness? I think we've reached the point where we need to discuss the how-tos.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
You gonna?
Yeah, you want to say it, don't you?
I do.
You do. I can see it.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I know it's your favorite, and you're waiting for it. So go ahead, talk about it. How do we release?
Journaling. Listen, if you listen to this show for too long, you're going to end up hearing me say this a million times.
I hear it every day.
And the only reason I keep saying it is because it is so just underestimated the power of it. You don't balance your checkbook from what you think it might be. You don't do sales forecasts at business and things like that on your recollection of last year's, sales figures. We don't drive cross country based off of a route that we think we remember.
Right.
If you don't document your life, how are you going to properly really reflect? Our minds are actually built. I mean, we actually have
a defense mechanism
in our brain where we block out negative feelings, and so
or painful.
And so many times what happens is when we try to think back on a situation, we don't really remember it in its full entirety, because that's what helps us move along.
Right.
But then without having that clear, really well-defined, well-documented, experience of your life, how can you really go back and you can find all the different experiences that led you to where you're at, reflect, change the behavior, and then move forward?
Absolutely. And also what I like that what you just said, if you're not documenting your life, then how are you going to design it? You have the ability through journaling and reflection to look back at your past and identify things that you would like to change. You have the ability to be present and see where you are now and take stock of your life and identify those areas that you want to improve upon or areas that you've learned from. And so you have the ability to design what you want your future self to look like. Like, we have the power now to create that individual. What do they look like? But without journaling, we'll never know.
I mean, in this day and age, one of the greatest things that we can do for forgiveness is to uncover your anger. I mean, we're seeing a lot of mass shootings. We're seeing a lot of things like this that are happening. And in our culture, anger is often hidden. We're told that we can't be that or else we're out of control. And we allow it to explode into like full rage.
And by the time it explodes, that means that it's reached such a fever pitch that the damage of that anger has been manifesting itself in little areas of your life for years.
So don't wait until that point. If you don't have to, call out the pain for what it is and face it head on.
Face that nasty demon.
Yeah. If you document your life, you can design your life.
Exactly.
And then you can find the route to get where you want to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that I think is really important as we're discussing the how-tos, after you uncover your anger, I think it's really important that you make the decision to forgive, right?
Yes.
It all starts with motivation. What is your why? You have to want to, because if you don't, I mean, in my opinion, and it is just my opinion, that's why rehab doesn't work for a lot of people, because if you haven't decided that you are ready and this is something you want to do, then from where are you going to derive the inner motivation and the fortitude to continue down that path? You have to decide to forgive. If someone hurt you deeply, you're probably not going to be ready to just let it go. It's going to take things like journaling or talking to a coach or a therapist to work out all those feelings. But recognize that deciding to forgive is a positive part of the process.
Absolutely. And allowing yourself to have that anger, it's okay. It's just not okay not to deal with it.
Exactly.
And then you have to realize that forgiveness isn't a one-time event. You're going to fall into old habits. You got to choose to forgive again and again and again. And then here's the next piece. You have to forgive yourself for falling back into that old habit.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk about working on forgiveness.
Well, I mean, the popular approach that we use, within our practice, that we use with a lot of clients, it's a popular approach. It's called reframing. And what reframing does, it really enables you to see a situation from kind of a new perspective and to gain insight from it.
And this is really effective. And here's why. Insight and perspective, for me, this is how I was able to get to a point of forgiveness. Because when I looked at who my biological father was, he had never had a positive example of how to be a good father. He was never held accountable to his responsibilities. I mean, his own growth and maturity were literally stunted in high school. So I got to a point where, from my perspective, I could feel sorry for him because the choices that he made led to a life of loneliness and substance abuse just to mask the pain. How could I, being the woman I am, how can I hate someone that's that damaged? Insight and perspective is what gave me the ability, to get on that road to forgiveness. So next, what is that really that we're talking about? If we're having insight, if we're gaining perspective, if we're understanding someone else's pain.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be in a situation like this, you have to end up releasing yourself from kind of the emotional prison that it causes. Consider also how you've grown and how you've changed as a result of this life experience. You never would have willingly chosen these things to happen to you.
Absolutely not.
And if at all possible, you would have spared yourself the pain. But they've shaped you. They've contributed to making who you are today. And that person is worthy. That person is lovable.
Absolutely. And that person is able now, because of that experience, to have a higher level of empathy, and empathy for me, I mean, Michael, who was it that said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone?
You're going biblical on
I
there.
went biblical on you, right? But the point is, we're all human and we've all done wrong. And the fact is, sometimes people are so caught up in their own BS and fear that they don't even recognize the effect that they're having on other people. There are people that we encountered every single day that are literally walking around unconscious, right? So you don't know their struggle. You don't know their story, their limitations, their fears. And you may never know. We may never know. But how can we judge them when all we do know is that we're all human and we've all made mistakes?
And that's
some more tragic than others, but mistakes and regrets nonetheless, right?
And we talk about reflection, but through the reflection, you found compassion. And it made the hurt become a little less personal. You weren't rejected or hurt because you are defective.
Right.
It was their baggage. It just landed on you. And what we do is, we have to take responsibility for your own part. People hear all the love and everything that Dana and I have for each other. I mean, it's obvious that we have quite a lot of fun and a lot of love.
You're my best friend.
You are mine. But what people don't know is, Dana and I are on our second marriage. We both got divorced. It was very, very easy at the end of my marriage to point faults. It was easy
to point fingers. Yeah.
I mean, it was easy to sit there and say she did this, and this, and have that nice long list in the back of my head. But what I wasn't seeing was what was my fault.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was going back and taking a look at all the times that I should have done something differently, that I learned the skills. I learned what I should be doing and became the man that Dana would love.
And I do love you so very much.
And the beautiful part of all this is now my ex is remarried, and I am truly, truly happy for her. She is happy for me. But the most rewarding aspect is that our children are happy.
And that is such a good feeling to know that our actions are leading to or contributing to our children's happiness and overall a generation of people that are better equipped to handle the highs and lows through the mistakes that we've made and what we've learned and the power of forgiveness that we've shown them by example.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to have to take another break, but before we do, I want to just touch on one last really big point, and that is don't take things personally. Don Miguel Ruiz, he's the author of The 4 Agreements, and he said that if you follow these 4 agreements, it will lead to a happy life. And the number one thing is, don't take things personally. Our ego likes to be in charge and likes to make itself important, but it's not serving, it's subverting. So keep that in mind. Check out Don Miguel Ruiz's The 4 Agreements. When we come back, we are going to be chatting up with Miss Lisa Boucher. And we would love to continue this conversation and share more tips. So if you'd like, you can email us at info@actionstransform.com or message us on Facebook at The Action Hour. We'll be right back. Looking to tone, tighten, or enhance your body while still retaining a natural appearance? Then look no further than Dr. Pedro Solar. Dr. Solar uses a customized approach to cosmetic and reconstructive procedures to the face, body, and breast. Call or go online now to receive 10% off any cosmetic procedure. 813-878-9889. That's 813-878-9889. Reclaim your confidence and discover a new you. Welcome back to the Action Hour. All right. So that was very emotional.
A little cathartic.
Yeah, it was very cathartic. I liked that. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. Right now, we have with us best-selling author of Raising the Bottom, Making Mindful Choices in a Drinking Culture. She's also a registered nurse who works with women struggling with alcohol issues. Please give a warm Action Hour welcome to Miss Lisa Boucher. Welcome to the Action Hour, Lisa. How are you? Lisa? All right, we will talk with have our producer work on that because we had Lisa here just a second ago, didn't we? Okay. Well, this is what happens with live radio. You never can tell. All right. Well, while he's working on that, we're going to use this as an opportunity to just talk about one last point about forgiveness that we were discussing before. So before we left for the break, I was talking about Don Miguel Ruiz. I don't know why I can't say his name. Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. And this book was mind-blowing for me because it identified four functions to follow for a happy life. And one of those was to not take things personally. So if your self-talk resembles any of the following, then it's cause for reflection. He betrayed me. How can I forgive him? If I forgive her, that means I condone what she did to me. You know, if I let him off the hook, I'll be such a pushover. She was rude to me and not showing me any respect.
And it's funny how many people allow ego to get in the middle of what could be such a growth opportunity.
Absolutely. And it's all ego. And the thing is, if you do some soul searching and you can honestly say to yourself, if ego weren't involved, how much further ahead would I be in my own personal growth and development?
And what people don't realize is when something like this happens, you're really allowing the person that did that to you to do double damage. Because
absolutely.
Not only did they hurt you, but now they're causing your ego to keep you from being able to grow.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It feeds off of itself like the negative demon it is.
Yeah.
All right. So next is, we talked about this earlier, but empathize.
Empathy is an absolute key, because if you can begin to look at something through someone else's eyes, then it allows you to, once you've seen the damage that they have, now you can stop living in the past and you can really move into living in the present. In psychology, we have a term that's called rumination.
Yes.
And it's a compulsive focus on a problem. And it's good to reflect upon a problem.
Absolutely.
But it's a whole different beast to sit there and ruminate on it. Reflection's important, but rumination can really lead to, depression, anxiety, stress-related illness. Again, forgiveness is more about the person granting forgiveness than it is the person being forgiven.
Absolutely. And living in the present is freedom from the past.
Yeah.
It is. It's freedom. And when we came back from the break, I said, this is felt cathartic, because it feels like yet another release. Yeah. And it's partly because you help me remain so firmly rooted in the present that now when I look back on past hurt, I can feel it, but I don't identify with it. It's no longer defining who I am.
Because you were able to let go of that expectation.
You have to remind me of this all the time. So letting go of expectations. Yeah, that's the easiest way to be disappointed by other people, is to expect them to behave in the way we want and expect them to. We can't control what other people are going to do, but we can control whether or not their actions offend us. And for me, this is literally the hardest thing that I struggle with. This is the thing Michael always has to remind me of. It really is my albatross. I don't even know what to do with this sometimes.
Well, I mean, we all want to, be the one that goes back and sees
Yeah.
the outcome. You know, especially with the days of Facebook and all of this,
Yeah.
it's real easy to do a little Facebook stalking.
Yeah,
and,
stalking that's not healthy.
you
No?
know, that person that kind of screwed you over, you know, you want to check in every now and then. And the thing is what is your expectation? What is your intention out of it?
Right.
Is your desire really to see if they're doing okay? Or are you, again, you're still drinking that poison. You're trying to see, did karma finally come around?
And the thing is, karma always does, rest assured, but it doesn't mean that you have to be the one there to witness it.
And if you're still needing karma, then you haven't gotten the growth.
Absolutely. Wow. So again, if you'd like to continue this conversation, please feel free to message us on Facebook at The Action Hour or email us if you feel like you need a more personalized action plan to reach forgiveness. We want to be here for you. So email us at info@actionstransform.com. So this week, we're going to go ahead. I don't know what's going on with our guest and phone issues that we're having.
Oh, it is pouring rain
and
here
it's
in
pouring
Tampa.
rain. I mean, when Joanna Gerard was on the show, she said Mercury was in retrograde, so that might have something to do with it. But we are going to roll right into Behavior Self. And Behavior Self is our favorite segment because this is where we take messages from our listeners and we give you an action plan. So this week's letter reads like this. Dear Dana and Michael, I heard the advice you gave that lady last week on how to improve her relationship with her son. Well, I could really use your help too. I understood where she was coming from because I don't know how to talk to my kid either. Long story short, my daughter is becoming exactly like her mother, and that scares the S out of me. I fight with her like I fight with my wife. I have no idea how to talk to either of them, and it's tearing our family apart. I get nothing but door slamming, eye rolling, and attitude. My baby girl is my whole world, and I'm losing her. What do I do? Signed, Dad. Dad asked us not to share his name, and that's fine, Dad. But I will tell you, as parents, I'm sure we can all understand the frustration you're feeling. So, Michael, let's talk about a plan, an action plan for Dad.
I remember this letter coming in, and it hit me because he used the same term. I call them both of my daughters baby girls.
Yeah.
Even though they haven't been babies for a couple decades now. But what I would say is this: men and women, we very definitely speak differently, we act differently, and and I don't want to say that all women and all men are exactly the same. Because my sister and her father are very similar, and me and my mother are very similar. And how I began to learn what those differences were and how to kind of bridge that gap was, I read a book by Gary Chapman, and he wrote a book called The 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
And, it is honestly probably one of the best books that I've ever had that helped me understand people. Mm-hmm. And
it is truly transformational, that book, and the ability it gives you to communicate on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm. The 5 love languages, what it is, it kind of breaks down how people receive love and how they give love. And the 5 are real simple. It's words of affirmation, positive reinforcement and praise, physical touch, hugging, touching, rubbing, whatever. My wife rubs my arm all the time.
Because you like it, and then I love you.
And she's been doing it naturally since the first day we met, which I love about her. And then there's quality time, and that's spending time together doing something that, the not necessarily just you enjoy, but also they enjoy, gifts and acts of service. Those 5. It sounds amazingly simple, but when you begin to sit down and you actually know how your daughter receives and feels love compared to how you give love. Growing up my entire life, my father was always the type that he woke up at 3:00 in the morning and he worked 16-hour days, and those 16-hour days were his way of showing that he loved me. I always expected him to tell me that he loved me,
right? Because that's what you wanted to hear.
That's my love language. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until I realized that my dad was telling me that he loved me every day, 365 days a week, when he worked like a dog. And so that would be one of my first steps in helping you, Dad, and being able to learn.
Okay. So thank you for that, Michael. And we're going to go into more of that when we come back from the break. But I think we have Lisa Boucher on the line. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Hello. Oh my goodness, Lisa. I do apologize for the technical difficulties, but we have you on the air, and we are going to go forward with your interview just as soon as we get back from this break. Please stick around. We've got Lisa Boucher. She's the best-selling author of Raising the Bottom, Making Mindful Choices in a Drinking Culture. We'll be right back. I think we can all admit that adulting can be hard, but don't let stress and personal difficulties keep you from living your best life. At Actions Transform, our behavior coaches can teach you to break unhealthy habits and give you the tools you need to achieve your personal and professional goals. You have everything to gain. Call Actions Transform today at 813-444-2282 or visit us at actionstransform.com. Remember, dreams inspire, but actions transform. Welcome back to the Action Hour. Boy, I'll tell you, between the weather and the technical difficulties, Mama need a drink. No, I'm kidding. So, all right. So we did have Miss Lisa Boucher, best-selling author, on the line. However, we thought that it wouldn't be fair to her to have to truncate her story
It's a powerful story.
It is a very powerful story, and we didn't want to have to shorten it just to fit into the time constraint. So we're going to reschedule Miss Lisa to come on the show and share her story with us and talk to us about her amazing transformational book, Raising the Bottom, Making Mindful Choices in a Drinking Culture. So we will reach out to Lisa and get that rescheduled, and we'll let everybody know when she's going to appear. But for now, we're going to keep rolling right along with Dad's letter in this week's Behavior Self. So, Michael, before the break, we were talking about the 5 love languages,
Yes.
and you were explaining the differences and how Dad can use the love languages to communicate better with his daughter.
Absolutely. So, Dad, if you will, take the time. Again, it's the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. You don't have to buy the book. I highly suggest that you do. But there are free tests online that, both of you could sit down and take together. You can take them separately, find out what each other's love languages are, and then that way you can kind of begin to understand how each other feel, receive, and give love. That's going to help with your communication. My second big tip would really be, I don't know whether or not you guys are still living together or not, with within that marriage, but be very, very careful about ever speaking badly about her mom.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about little girls. Little girls pick up on
Everything.
And they're going to know the characteristics that they share with their mother. So when you criticize Mom, many times she can internalize that because she knows that she is similar to her mother. Mm-hmm. I guarantee if she is driving you nuts, it's because it's the same sort of things that Mom drives you nuts with.
Yeah.
And so when you criticize Mom, you are criticizing part of your daughter, which I know you do not want to do. Okay? The hardest thing as a dad also is to listen, but not always try to fix. Again, you are going to try to be training her. Make her strong, not needy. Empower her to think about her decisions and reach out if she wants. So if she comes to you with a problem and she is, explaining everything and you feel the need to try to fix it, stop. Instead, use this line and write it down. So what do you want to do about that? Now what you're doing is instead of going in and fixing it like Superman, you're empowering her to think through her own process. And then she's, also has the ability to reach out to you. And she can say, Dad, I don't know. I need your help. And at that point, you're building a better relationship with her. Don't be afraid also to tell her that you don't know or you're uncertain. Be
I
real.
think that's the hardest part a lot of dads have is just admitting that you don't have, or any parent, in fact, you don't have all the answers.
And the truth is when you get married, you're going to have times where the one spouse doesn't know and the other spouse doesn't know. Again, your trainer, it makes you more approachable and she can rely on others, which it's critical within a relationship. Now, I heard, the slamming doors and all of that.
An eye-rolling attitude.
Eye-rolling attitude. I'm guessing she's a teenager, but be very careful about what you say. And I always tell parents, talk to her about fights during times of calm. Mm-hmm. If during a fight she says something like, I don't know, then ask if she wants time to think about it. Give her time. So many parents want to fight and they want to get the fight over with. But the truth is let's make the fight productive. Okay. Give her time if she needs time, but always come back to the fight during a time of calm. Because if you sweep it under the rug, then you're kind of making it feel as if her feelings don't have value and that they can be escaped. So when things are calm, come back, talk to her about the fight, let her have time to express herself, because not everyone is able to think of the answers and think of what they're truly thinking in that moment. Some people need time.
Yeah.
I'm the sort of fighter that, I got a quick tongue and I can go. I mean, you want to talk? Let's talk now. It's what I do. But my daughters, I have 2 daughters, one that's like me and one that's opposite of me. One that we can go head to head, no problem. Mm-hmm. And then the other one needs time to think it out.
And to process.
Or else she'll just break down and shut down. And now we're not communicating. It's just me talking to her. The other thing I love to do is find opportunities to praise. And this is going to be the thing that's going to start to change your relationship with her. When you begin to praise your daughter instead of only finding the things that are wrong with her, it's going to engender, it's going to bring you together,
Mm-hmm.
But use very specific praise. General praise is easy. I mean, it's super easy to go, hey, you did well. Well, that's better than nothing. But if you can be specific and say something like, I like how you really allowed your creativity to show in this project or something like that. If you can get specific about something that she does well, that can make a huge difference. I also hate it when parents always say something like, you're really smart. Well, guess what? Smart is genetics. That's what you and your wife gave her.
Right.
So praise her for hard work. That's what she did.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite because it gives the parent the opportunity to really see their child.
And then the last little bit, if she is a teenager, as she's getting older, you're going to have to begin to shift the way that you treat her from being a parent to more of a mentor. Okay? So as she begins to make decisions, help her guide into that decision. Mm-hmm. Don't necessarily make the decision for her. Teach her how to make decisions, and she's going to start to see you as a partner.
Wow. I tell you what, this hour was nothing short of therapeutic for me. BehaviorSelf will always be my favorite segment of the show. For more information on behavior and performance coaching, visit us online at actionstransform.com. And to continue today's conversation, be sure to like us on Facebook at The Action Hour and at Actions Transform. Tomorrow, I'm going to be a judge at the Best Speaker in Tampa competition. It's happening at the Tampa Airport Marriott. So get your last minute tickets at speakertalks.com. I hope I can see everybody there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Special thanks to our sponsors, Medi Weight Loss. Visit MediWeightLoss.com to learn more about their medically supervised weight loss program, and Dr. Pedro Solar, board-certified cosmetic and reconstructive surgeon. There's still time to take advantage of their 10% discount on all cosmetic surgery procedures and $10 a unit for Botox. I'm still trying to put this meet and greet Botox party together at Dr. Solar's office in West Chase. So if you're interested in attending, message me on Facebook. We can all get rid of our wrinkles together. Don't forget to show some love to our nonprofit partner of the month, the Angel Foundation. Visit angelfoundation.org to learn what you can do to make a difference today. Join us next week. We'll be discussing body image issues, and our special guest will be none other than Dr. Pedro Solar himself.
I can't wait.
Who better to have a body image conversation with than a board-certified plastic surgeon? So you're not going to want to miss that one. If you'd like to submit coaching questions for us to read on the air during our BehaviorSelf segment, send us a message on Facebook at The Action Hour or at Actions Transform. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Dana Medlin.
And I'm Michael Medlin, reminding you that dreams inspire, but actions transform. What do Oprah Winfrey, Hugh Jackman, Michael Jordan, Eva Metallica all have in common? They all had a coach. Performance and personal development coaching isn't just for celebrities. With Actions Transform, you can stop sitting on the sidelines, stop procrastinating, and stop making excuses for not hitting your goals. If you're finally ready to change your life and live up to your full potential, call 813-444-2282 or Actions Transform.